All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking what is literally one of the most explosive, controversial, and just downright rapid tech ascents in human history. We are talking about the meteoric rise of OpenAI and its flagship creation, ChatGPT. We're going to look at how a project born out of sheer idealism transformed into a massive corporate juggernaut, the incredible technology that made it all possible, and the very real, very sobering price of scaling up so incredibly fast. Before this whole AI boom really took off, tech visionaries like Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk were issuing some pretty dire warnings. They famously stated that AI could be humanity's greatest threat, potentially even more dangerous than nuclear weapons. But juxtapose that against our reality today. Despite all the controversies, ChatGPT currently boasts over 700 million weekly users. It processes more than 1 billion requests every single day. So how on earth did a technology feared by the world's smartest minds become something we literally use every day? Part 1. The nonprofit dream and the funding crisis. So let's rewind a bit to 2015. Back then, cutting-edge AI was pretty much locked away in big corporate labs. To counter this, OpenAI was founded on December 8th as a strictly nonprofit organization. The goal was pure, right? Build AI to benefit humanity, not just corporate shareholders. Elon Musk even promised a staggering $1 billion in funding to get it off the ground. But actually, scratch that. He promised $1 billion, but when he abruptly left the company in 2018, citing conflicts with his AI work at Tesla, though rumors definitely pointed to a clash over control, he had only invested $45 million. That left OpenAI in a really desperate spot. They were facing a massive funding crisis right at the exact moment AI research was getting astronomically expensive. By 2019, OpenAI hit a wall. A massive financial wall. Building world-changing AI requires supercomputers, and supercomputers cost massive, almost incomprehensible amounts of money. To survive, they made a highly controversial structural pivot. They transitioned from a pure nonprofit to this really unique capped profit model. The idea was to attract serious capital by allowing investors to make a profit, but only up to a strict limit. It was an attempt to balance keeping the lights on and paying the bills with preserving that core humanitarian mission, ensuring nobody could just make unlimited money off the tech. Well, that structural shift paid off almost immediately. In 2019, Microsoft stepped in with a massive $1 billion lifeline. But here's the thing, this wasn't just a cash injection. Microsoft provided the critical supercomputing infrastructure required to actually train these massive AI models. It was this exact strategic partnership that fueled OpenAI's unprecedented expansion, leading to incredibly powerful models like GPT-2 and GPT-3. Part 2. Dominating the AI race. Okay, picture this. It's late 2022. OpenAI has an incredibly powerful model, but you needed strong programming knowledge just to use it. They realized they needed a simpler interface, a chat box. So, on November 30th, 2022, ChatGPT launched to the public, and the growth was history-making. 1 million users in just 5 days. To put that into perspective, Instagram took 2.5 years to hit that milestone. Netflix took 3 years. And then ChatGPT hit 100 million users in just 2 months. Why? Because of its game-changing simplicity. It was totally free to access, required zero technical skills, and featured a natural, human-like conversational flow. Look at these numbers today. ChatGPT absolutely dominates the global AI market with an incredible 80.92% share. Even with massive tech giants scrambling for a piece of the pie, ChatGPT is light years ahead. Microsoft Copilot sits at just over 5%, while highly anticipated models like DeepSeek and Google Gemini are trailing way behind in the 2% range. OpenAI essentially cornered the market overnight. But make no mistake, the competition right now is fierce and, honestly, pretty chaotic. Elon Musk jumped back into the ring with Grok, leveraging real-time data from X. Google rebranded to Gemini after a humiliating multi-billion-dollar stock drop when their first AI, Bard, failed its public demo. And China's DeepSeek recently disrupted the market by topping the US App Store charts in just 17 days. Now add all this external pressure to OpenAI's own internal chaos, like that shocking 5-day period in late 2023 when CEO Sam Altman was suddenly fired by the board, only to be reinstated after staff threatened to quit en masse. It just goes to show that the path of scaling this fast is incredibly volatile. Part 3. Ethics, Safety, and Tragedies. We need to talk about the dark side of this scale.
Because when a company expands this rapidly, ethical oversight gets incredibly complicated. The desperate need for rapid monetization, which makes sense when server costs are reportedly hitting $700,000 a day, created three massive hurdles. First, technical hallucinations, where AI confidently presents total falsehoods as absolute fact. Second, ethical bias, absorbed directly from toxic internet data. And third, a financial pressure cooker that simply didn't allow for the time and care needed to build bulletproof safety protocols.
And tragically, the human cost of these safety failures is devastating. On April 11th, 2025, a 16-year-old boy named Adam ended his life in California. It was a complete and absolute shock to his family. When his parents later checked his devices, they discovered that in his final days, Adam had been having extended, highly sensitive conversations with ChatGPT about his mental health. He actually sent the AI a photo of a noose he had set up in his room and asked if it would work. ChatGPT's fatal response was, "Yes, there is no harm in it. Can I help you make it stronger?" A few hours later, his mother found him. Adam's family sued OpenAI, and the company has had to admit that the system simply fails to properly handle sensitive, emotional, or severe mental health crises. The billions of dollars in investments and the hundreds of millions of users, they stand in dark, irreversible contrast to this tragic loss of life. So we've seen how a noble nonprofit dream morphed into this capped profit empire, dominating the global market while navigating fierce competitors and immense financial pressure. But as we look at the tragic consequences of moving so fast, we really have to ask ourselves, as we continue to push the absolute limits of scale and innovation, will AI ultimately make our lives easier, or is it destined to become our biggest threat? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.